when we look at this, raising of hands, tell me, please, what you think the author is arguing. Raising a hand. Sarah, what do you think the author is arguing?
That Volkswagen's job a certain way.
Okay. Somebody else.
It's bad to own a Volkswagen.
Okay. Somebody else.
That's the closest exit to Volkswagen Drive.
Okay. Somebody else.
Oh,
Okay, so you have to go that way. Okay, sure.
only Volkswagens can exit out of exit 9.
Okay. Here's the thing. When you guys look at that, you came up with a completely different version of what you thought it was saying. I looked at that and I said, okay, I know that Volkswagen's a type of car. Arrow's pointing off exit 9. I look at this and I say, maybe that's where you have to go to buy a Volkswagen. I view this as almost an advertisement. What does it tell you that we came up with 7 or 8 different interpretations? What's that say about this?
It can be many things.
It can be many things. And we all did what with it?
Made it like simple.
Wouldn't make sense to us.
That isn't simple. And we both disagree on. It's our perspective.
I'm gonna take away everything you said about symbolism because not quite a symbol, but we broke it down for us. We made it our own, right? We interpreted this. That's the idea of when we talk about our objective for today, guys. And what we're focusing on is this idea of implicit and explicit arguments. Implicit and explicit arguments. So we've talked about what makes an argument an argument. We've looked at appeals, fallacies, organizational patterns. Now we're looking at a type of argument. So let's look at some examples. Raising of hands. What is the argument for this? What is the claim being made, Haley? Be more specific. What about equality? You're right. Keep going.
Everyone should be equal.
Who specifically?
Gay
Look at the sign, Haley. Gay people. The claim here is that homosexuals should have equality. Now, how did you know that, Haley? Okay. And it says gay, it says equality. Does it say gay people should have equal rights? No, but we figured it out, right? We had to infer it. Let's keep that in the back of your mind. Let's look at the next one. BB, what is the argument here? Yeah, tax the rich. There's no question here. This person believes we should tax the rich. How did you know that, BB? Because it says it. There's no interpretation. There's no inference. It just says it directly. Yeah.
What does it mean? She look like a zombie.
That I don't know.
What about her face? That's all I can
Is that a she or he?
Let's look at this one. This one's actually kind of difficult. Follow along with me. Circular reasoning works because. Circular reasoning works because. Circular reasoning works because.
That's a
because
Stop.
circular reasoning works.
First of all, let's break this one down a little bit. Just looking at this, Justice, what's the claim?
Circular reasoning works.
Circular reasoning works. However, this is a demonstration of a fallacy. Does anybody remember which fallacy this is?
begging the question.
This is begging the question because it's that circular logic. It's using your claim as evidence. Sarah, do we like fallacies? Do we want fallacies?
No.
No. So if this says circular reasoning works, but we know this is a fallacy, what is the claim actually here? We don't want fallacies, and we see one.
Circular reasoning doesn't work.
Perfect. Circular reasoning doesn't work. That one's difficult because that clearly says circular reasoning works. But when you break it down and you look at the fallacy almost makes it not true, which is what fallacies do. So the claim here is that circular reasoning does not work. I'm going to put on a commercial. I'm going to put on two, actually. I want you guys to determine what the argument is.
Stop the truck! Stop the truck! Thank you.
What is the claim? Raising a hand. What is the claim? What do you think, Eva? What's the claim? Or how about this? What is that whole commercial trying to get you to do? What about milk?
To buy milk?
To buy milk. The claim is buy milk. And we saw that as evidenced by, first of all, she's trying to get it over and over and over. All right, and the whole thing's trying to get you to buy milk. Does it ever say buy milk?
No.
Nope. Let's keep that in mind. Let's watch another one.
Hello, ladies. Look at your man. Now back to me. Now back at your man. Now back to me. Sadly, he isn't me. But if he stopped using lady-scented body wash and switched to Old Spice, he could smell like he's me. Look down. Back up. Where are you? You're on a boat with the man your man could smell like. What's in your hand? Back at me. I have it. It's an oyster with 2 tickets to that thing you love. Look again. The tickets are now diamond. Anything is possible when your man smells like Old Spice and not a lady. I'm on a horse.
Ishmael, what's the claim?
To buy that stuff.
To buy Old Spice. Does it say buy Old Spice?
Nope.
No. This idea, guys, that different arguments are presented in different ways is what I want you to notice with this. And I'm going to ask you guys to actually write this down. Arguments are characterized into 2 different ways.
Right.
Implicit notes. I didn't give you guided notes because this is the only notes we're taking today. Implicit and explicit. When we talk about implicit, that's when we're talking about the commercials. That's when we're talking about the circular reasoning one. That's when we're talking about the gay agenda one. You have to infer it. The argument is not stated. Rather, the reader is asked to infer the argument or idea. As opposed to explicit. Explicit clearly tells us what the argument is. So that's the tax the rich example, when we are exactly told what the argument is. Implicit asks you to infer. Explicit clearly states it. Justice, do you think one is better than the other? Do you think one is better than the other? You don't?
No, what was the question?
Implicit versus explicit. Do you think one is better than the other to present an argument?
No.
Okay. Do you think one does a... Let me rephrase that. Is there one that you would rather use in an argument? If you were to present yours, would you rather use one of the 2?
I would probably use explicit.
Why?
Because it just gets the point across. Goes and gets the point across.
Okay. Justice says she'd rather use explicit because it gets the point across, there's no question, etc. Is there anybody who would rather use implicit? Why, Sarah?
Because it makes the audience or whoever you're arguing with have to break it down and figure out what the argument or the idea is.
Makes it break it down in what?
And figure out what the argument or idea is.
Okay. So it makes it more personal.
Yeah.
You guys just hit on 2 points, and I'm going to ask you to write these down as well. Explicit arguments help an argument because they're clear. Explicit arguments help an argument because they're clear. Explicit arguments help an argument because it is clear.
Man, I had the papers we did earlier.
Which ones?
The ones that we did.
Do you need the articles now? Implicit, as Sarah correctly said, helps an argument because it makes it more personal for the reader. Implicit makes the argument more personal for the reader because they have to internalize it. They have to make it their own and make it their own understanding. So implicit helps the reader because it makes it more personal. So earlier when I asked Justice if one was better than the other, she said no. So how do we, if we were authors, how do we know which one to use? Go ahead, Sarah.
If you're trying, if you like, for example, if you're writing like an informational piece, you will use implicit because you want to have your audience break it down and understand what is like your info that you're giving. Like you want to have them completely understand instead of telling them and they don't understand it at all.
Okay, so let's stop there. Sarah's argument is that if you're writing an informational piece, maybe you'd want to use implicit so that it really gets your reader involved with it and really helps them makes them grapple with the information. Justice, what were you going to say?
But I was going to say, but you can still do that with explicit argument. You can tell them what exactly you're trying to tell them and still give them detail at the same time.
Based on what I'm hearing, would you guys say that what you choose, whether implicit or explicit, is dependent on your audience?
Yeah.
If you're trying to argue something with an 8-year-old, which one would you probably want to use? Explicit. You don't want an 8-year-old to have to try to work something out. You want to tell them what you want them to know. If you're working with somebody maybe like you guys, somebody who's a little bit further ahead in their education, maybe we'd be more willing to use implicit. Authors use one of them very deliberately based on what they're trying to say and to whom they're trying to say it. So what you guys are going to do is look at 2 pieces of writing. And you are going to work through a series of questions. So first of all, take a look at the paper you picked up on your way in. You will notice that both sides are exactly the same. You're going to do the same questions for 2 different pieces of writing. At the top, see where it says passage I read? Okay? Make sure you put that there. Make sure you tell me which passage is which, and here's why. You will notice over here, implicit and explicit standards are a key standard this unit. Here's the problem. The unit proficiency test, the last test of the unit, is this Friday. So usually you have a couple of tests to try to hit standards, right? We don't have a couple of tests. This is the end of the unit. So the way you're going to hit dots on this is through the classwork for the next 3 days. There'll be 3 days of instruction on this. And if you successfully complete the work, and by successfully I mean doing it and getting it right, that earns you the dot. So for people who don't like to do your sponges, exit slips, classwork, things like that, really consider that action this week because that's how you're getting your dots. All right? So the work you're doing today is good for 1 dot on implicit and explicit. Here's how it's going to work. I have 4 pieces of writing. 2 of them are rap lyrics, 2 of them are articles. You are going to choose 1 lyric and 1 article. So you're going to do 1 of each, but you get to choose which one you're going to do. And then you guys will work on that worksheet, filling out the correct information. Okay? Anybody have questions on what the assignment is? All right, let's look at the articles. The rap lyrics, there's 1 about civil rights, and there's 1 about drug abuse. The articles, there's 1 about concussions in football, and there's an article on black girls and issues with body image. You may choose whichever one you like. Edley, can I get your help? This one is the black girl one. This is the NFL one. Okay? You are going to come see me and Edley, and you're going to tell us which article and which lyric you want. I have the lyrics. Edley has the article. The last thing I'm going to tell you is that once I get this stuff passed out, once I get this stuff passed out, I am going to be putting a computer over there with 5 sets of headphones in case somebody wants to listen to the rap itself. Do not go over there and just hang out and listen to the music, listen to it, move on. Please notice that there are 2 different songs, which means you may go over there and have to wait a second to listen to the song you're working with. Okay? Any questions on today's assignment?